Welcome to Raising Kings, the podcast designed to empower single mothers raising strong, resilient, and emotionally intelligent Black sons. Introducing your host, Jennifer Tolliver, author, counselor, and, most importantly, a single mom who's been walking this journey for over 9 years. She knows firsthand the challenges we face, the doubts, the struggles, the fears. But I also know this, we are not just raising boys, we are raising kings. And with the right guidance, support, and mindset, we can break generational cycles, build unshakable bonds, and set our sons up for greatness. Every week, we'll dive deep into real conversations about parenting, emotional intelligence, education, self-care, and everything in between. Expect raw truths, actionable strategies, and the cultural awareness our community deserves, because nobody understands our challenges like we do. So if you're ready to lead with confidence, transform your parenting, and build a legacy that lasts, you're in the right place. Let's get to work.
Hey everybody, hey mamas, how you doing? So today's episode we want to talk about the importance of finding a male mentor for your child, for your son specifically in this instance. So it's not as easy as we would think, because a lot of times we say, okay, well, I have a son, I'm a single mom, let me go ahead and reach out to my son's grandfather or his uncles or his, any older male family member to help him be a male mentor, which is okay, but it's not the best choice. So when you look to your family members, your older male family members to be mentors to your son, outside of their role as their uncles, grandfathers, older brothers, which do hold in themselves their own responsibilities for that relationship. If you then ask them to be a male mentor specifically for your child, you can put strain on not only the relationship between your son and their family member, but also between yourself and that family member. So you don't want to overburden the uncles and the grandfathers. You don't want to overburden them and put them in a mind frame of, okay, well, you have these kids, they're your responsibility. Now you're asking me for too much. I'm already their grandfather. I'm already their uncle. I'm already their older brother. But now you're asking me to guide them to be a man, which is fine in some situations. That's totally welcomed by the family member. Uncle doesn't have a problem with it at all, but that's not the case all the time. And it's not necessarily fair for us as single moms to put that burden on them when they're already, well, they should be already acting as a role of uncle or grandfather and doing all that entails with your son. So what I am suggesting that moms do is to go to somebody who wants to actually be a male mentor, somebody who not advertises themselves as such, but that has put out there that they're willing to be a actual male mentor for your child. And this could be in the form of a coach, for sports or in school or something like that. There are actual male mentor programs that exist everywhere. And if you need help, I can help you secure one for you and your son. Like right now, I just signed up for the CHAMPS program. I'll give you guys the link for that for my 17-year-old. So there's a lot of really good programs that are made specifically to mentor your son. So I would encourage you to reach out to those places, because not only are they equipped, or they should be equipped with the skills and the tools that your son would need to grow. They should already have gone through the rites of passage that men should go through as they grow into manhood. They need to have, these are all the criteria that you should think about when looking for a mentor for your son. So it's not just, only, do they position themselves as a male mentor, but what type of mentor are they? Do they have other children that they're mentoring? And it's not how good are those children doing, because that's not necessarily a direct reflection, but how do those children feel about that mentor? And how do they feel about the other children that they are helping to grow? So you need to make sure that somebody that you're putting in your child's life has the capabilities, the understanding, and and the fortitude to actually help you raise your son, not just somebody that's just out here looking for single moms, trying to uh, find dates, trying to prey on the single moms who need help for their son. So you have to be vigilant in that too, because it's gonna defeat the whole purpose of finding a mentor if it's not a good one. You don't want somebody that's gonna send your son off completely. So you need to make sure that, for one, is a good man, in a sense that, not personally, because half the time you're not even going to know their personal life, but in the sense of their morals and their values, how they feel about life, how they treat the people around them, how they respect people. All those things you're going to have to consider when choosing a male mentor for your son. And like I said before, your uncle and grandpa might not be the best choice. They might not even have all these qualities that you need in a male mentor for your son. And your son may need a specific type of person. Like, your son, and that if there's this guy that meet that could be a potential help to you, a potential male mentor, um, if your son is going to clash heads with him, if he's coming on like a stern, strict grandpa mode, and that's not going to resonate with your son. He needs somebody that's going to be more willing to communicate and to talk with him, and to be have a different approach. Then that's what you're going to have to find. So you got to, all these things you got to keep in mind. It's like, so it's like if you are looking for a man for yourself to be in your household, you definitely should want a man who has all the qualities that you think a man should have. So when you're looking for a male mentor for your son, you should use that same diligence that you would when finding a mate for yourself, because this is gonna help you in the long run. He's gonna be there to support you as you raise your kid. So when looking for somebody to be there and step in that position and in that role, you have to be, you need to understand what you're looking for. You need to understand your son and what will help him the best. Because it could be different things. Like, male mentorship doesn't look like just one way. Like, it could be a father that's in the household. That's a good mentor. It could be a whole basketball team. That's one version of mentorship. He can have a group of males that he goes to talk to in a village type of setting, where they talk and discuss things, and purposefully plant seeds in your son to help him grow and to be a better man and to grow into a man. So it's not just your uncle. It's not just some dude, Ray at the corner, that's a militant guy, that he's a Muslim, and he, what I'm saying? Like, no shade against any religion, but I'm just saying, I don't even know why I said that. He could be a Christian, but so I know why I said it. In our culture, we kind of look at the Muslim religion with a lot of respect, as we should. But just because somebody is in that religion doesn't mean that they're a good male mentor. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like it could be any religion in a sense. Like, it could be a pastor, a Christian pastor. Just because he's a Christian pastor does not mean he's a good male mentor for your son. So you have to use your discernment and your intuition that we have been gifted as women. And you have to find a good male mentor for your son to help you. And until you find the male mentor for your son, you have to use the tools that I've presented to you guys. There's a lot of free resources we have that can help you to communicate with your son and to stay on the same page until you find a good male mentor for him. So, a couple red flags that I've come in contact with when finding a male mentor I keep saying male mentor. I know that's what this podcast is about, but it's getting really redundant, but I can't think of another word. So, anyway, when looking for a mentor for your son, you have to be very diligent and purposeful when finding one. And until you do, you have to do the work yourself. Like all the tools that I have listed, they're free for you. They help you communicate with your kid, your son. They help you understand him as a male. They go into the brain differences that we have as males and females, and all those things can help you with your significant other too. But until you find a male mentor, you're not off the hook. You have to actually stay in tune with your son until you find the male mentor. Because part of finding an effective mentor for him includes knowing your son and what he needs. Because when we do, if I have a client that needs a male mentor, I have them fill out a form that specifically lists the issues that they're having with their son, some of the specific problems that need to be addressed. So when you're looking for one yourself, you need to do the same thing. You got to be in tune with your kids to know how to help them. You can't just pick anybody because they say they're a leader or a mentor or something like that. So yes, let grandpa be grandpa, let uncle be uncle, let big brother be big brother, and let your son absorb all of the good things that those relationships entail, but don't overburden those familial relationships with them being tasked to help you raise your son when you could easily go out and find somebody who um, actually wants to do that specifically, like their actual male mentor that either has the experience of mentoring other children or who has the knowledge of what it takes to actually be a man, who will help you when you, as a female, we are sometimes more emotional and more soft, even though as a single mother, I found that the world and then the state of the men that are out there have made me more masculine, in my own self. But as a mom, that male mentor is going to help you be a backbone, when your son needs you to be the most. It's going to give you the advice you need from a male perspective. Um, and it's going to be there for you to balance out your son's development the way that it is meant to be, and the way that it fixes what needs to be fixed as far as the dynamic of having a male and female raise you in a household, which is what's ideal. And when you go out and find a male mentor who specifically is trained to be a male mentor, you actually can perfect that the growth of your son. Like even if you have a husband, that doesn't mean he's going to be the 100% best male mentor for your son. Like even if you're a two-parent household, you may need to go outside of that to find a professional to help you raise your son, just because of the detrimental state that our cultural cycles have put us in, and not only as parents but as children growing up in these households. So it's not a bad thing to go outside for help, because some of these rites of passages that our sons need, um, some of the mind frame and the training that goes into being a man in our culture, a lot of times we haven't seen that for generations. It hasn't been a natural occurring thing. So even if you have a man in your home who's the father of your son, he might not have gone through these rites of passages, and he could learn some things for somebody, even though his ego, the male ego may get in the way, but he could possibly learn some things of how to be um, more of a man, and about the different rites of passages and things that you have to go through that fortify you up to be the man that you need to be. because we haven't gone through it. We haven't had these same cycles that we need to have, which is really the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, because our generation can do better. Like the next generation can be better. Half, 50% of households in our community are raised by single mothers. And if we can change half of our generation just by communicating effectively, finding male role models, and purposely raising our kids, then that's what we need to do. Like that's like half of the men, half of Black men that will be raised in the next generation are under our care. They come from us. We're responsible for half, 50% of our generation, the next generation coming. We as women, as single mothers, statistically are responsible for half of all Black people. And when you understand that, you can understand the severity and the importance of why we as single moms need to get in tune and get in gear, because we have the responsibility to raise and output half of Black people by ourselves. So, with that being said, we need to treat this like what it is. We need to treat it like a tough job, because it is. Like, you have to go to work. You have to find your son the right male mentors. You have to check yourself emotionally. You have to go to work and do all the things and still come home and be there to emotionally train and develop your son and your children. That's just what we have to do. It is what it is. But with that being said, it's so important to find a male mentor, an effective male mentor for your son, not only for his benefit, but mostly for your benefit as a mother, because it's going to help you. It's going to alleviate some of the confusion. You're going to have somebody there that's not just an uncle or a grandpa that's going to sit there and talk to you and give you feedback about what your son's going through and help you along the way. So yes, grandpas and uncles are good. They're like key in development, especially as single mothers. They help a lot, but that's not it. Like the buck doesn't stop there. We need to do more for our sons, because you don't know. Like just having them in church, that doesn't mean anything as far as their growth and development. That doesn't guarantee you anything. It just alleviates some of the anxiety in your mind, because you're able to pacify the recurring thoughts that you're not doing enough by saying, okay, well, I put them in church. But that's not effective if it's not effective. I mean, if it is good. But if it's not effective, don't just do it because it makes you feel better. It has to be better. It has to make you better. It has to make your son better. And this is important. So we got to stay on point with ourselves, stay on point with our sons, find him a good, effective male mentor. Don't fall into the trap of getting involved with the male mentor, because you're going to then alienate your son from that male mentor. And he's already been through enough, I'm sure, through losing, maybe he's lost the father figure of his own father, or other males that you brought into the home that he's looked up to as a male mentor, and now they're gone. And then you bring in somebody to specifically be their male mentor, and then you go ahead and start messing with them. Then you're not only gonna kill that male mentor off for your son in his mind, but you're going to further deepen the trauma of being alienated and abandoned by males in their lives. So they are off limits to you romantically. Um, if somebody that you're dating becomes a male mentor for your son and you're serious and you've already introduced them to your life and your family, and that's what comes of that, that's fine. But that does not mean that that's all they need. Like we need professional help in our communities. We need intentional strategy, and we need to execute as mothers. Like this is a business, because it is. Like this is serious business. Like I said, half of the people that are in our culture are coming from homes where we are in charge. So yeah, we're in a great position, moms. Let's do this. Let's get it for our sons. Find them a good male mentor. Treat it like you're interviewing for a job. This is more important than you finding a man. This is somebody that you're putting in your son's life that's going to be their partner and to help them grow. And it's also going to help you be a better mom because it's going to take away some of that stress and it's going to um, help your son communicate with you more effectively and vice versa. So that's what we got to do this week. We can work on finding our sons an awesome male mentor. And if you find one and you start working with him and you figure out like that's not the best fit for you, don't be afraid to move on and find somebody else. Um, but make it a decision that you and your son make together so that he understands the process and he doesn't feel any type of abandonment or confusion, and that he also understands the importance of why he needs one, the different rites of passage that boys need to go through to grow into manhood. Um, yeah, and then until you find a good male mentor for your son, I would say to help him in that sense, help let him make decisions, ask him like executive decisions if he's of age, even if he's young, like in the family, ask him what he thinks you should do about certain situations. Um, when he comes and asks you something, say, hey, what do you think? Well, what would you do in this situation? Or if you're going through something, let's say, I don't know, anything can happen. Like you're, you know, caught by a train, you're going to be 20 minutes late for a meeting, and you want to ask your son, what would you do in this situation? You want to teach him accountability and responsibility. Like, okay, yeah, you would call, tell him you're late, the whole thing. But until you find a good male mentor, you can do this as a mom. It's just the male mentor is going to help more. So until you find one, though, you still need to be doing the work and helping your son grow into the man that you would, you know, that you would want to date, in the future, because I mean, that's the goal. You're raising a man. So yeah, so until then, you got this, moms. Keep showing up for your sons and for your families. You're doing a great job. If you feel like you're a horrible mom, you're not. If you're trying to be better, you're already great. So yeah, that's it. Find them a good male mentor. Thank y'all for listening. Love. Thank you. Bye.